Over the past 3 weeks, I've immersed myself into the lives of 100 billionaires, watching their interviews, reading their books, and compiling 40 pages of notes. Now, I've distilled their greatest insights into 3 key pillars: business, life, and relationships. To keep this video concise, I want to focus on 3 powerful lessons from that first pillar, business. But there is much more to share. So if you want a part 2 that dives into more business lessons, as well as the other 2 pillars, life and relationships, then let me know in the comments below. Of course, it goes without saying, but these are highly impactful lessons. So I'll be giving you action steps that you can take after each lesson to implement what you've learned. But without further ado, let's move into lesson number 1. Elon Musk has always dreamed big. When he began SpaceX, his goal wasn't just to launch rockets. It was to make humanity a multi-planetary species. With Tesla, the goal has always been to make the car industry fully sustainable and to have everybody on the road driving electric vehicles. 2 words that have always characterized his career are dream big. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is another billionaire with this same trait. Let me take you back to 2006, when Mark was just 22. In 2006, Yahoo offered Mark $1 billion for Facebook. Now, most people would have taken the money and run, but Mark is not most people. Mark had a grand vision to build a social network that would connect the entire world. And he refused to stop and to sell his company until that dream was fully realized. Dreaming big gives you purpose, urgency, and strength to push past your failures in hopes of one day achieving that vision. Okay, so having big dreams is a must. But what about executing them? Let's go back to SpaceX for a second. You see, when Elon started the company, SpaceX faced constant setbacks, with multiple rockets exploding before launch, and the company burning through money very rapidly. Failure after failure chipped away at Elon, to the point that by 2008, SpaceX was on the brink of collapse. They had one final shot to launch their rocket, Falcon 1. And after 3 failed attempts, with everything on the line, the team watched as the rocket finally took off. After hours of researching Elon, I believe that this moment played a pivotal turning point in his career. And it all happened because Elon relentlessly pursued a goal, no matter how close behind failure seemed to follow him. He used each setback as a learning opportunity, iterating rapidly, and then beginning his next attempt. Elon's belief that big dreams are achievable through relentless execution is something that we can all learn from. But how can we apply this principle in our own lives? Well, there are 3 steps. Step 1 is to define your vision. Spend 30 minutes in a distraction-free environment and write down your 10-year impact goal. You want this goal to be something that changes the industry your business is in, or even changes the world as a whole. You also want the vision to be emotionally charged. How's it gonna change the lives of your customers, employees, or even society? Make this vision as specific as possible. And once it's fully done, try and hang it up somewhere visible, maybe on your desk, on your office wall, wherever it is. With that out of the way, you can move on to step 2, turning your dream into actionable items. Think of 3 to 5 big milestones you need to hit within the next 5 years to make sure that you reach your vision. After that, break down each milestone even further into weekly or monthly targets. And now we can focus on the final step: pursue relentlessly. Each day, remind yourself of the vision you have. Whenever setbacks or failures happen, try and reflect on them and come up with something that will help you iterate better next time. Just like how Elon iterated each rocket until it was perfect and ready for launch. So there you have it. Dream big and execute relentlessly. Now let's move to lesson number 2. In 1994, Jeff Bezos walked away from a stable, lucrative career on Wall Street to begin a business that at the time seemed crazy. Honestly, even right now, this idea seems crazy. An online bookstore set up out of his garage. But Jeff's ambitions reached far beyond bookshelves. You see, his long-term goal was to transform the way the world shopped. And little did he know he would. Over the years, he would continue to expand the products and the offerings of the company we now know as Amazon. And the thing that guided these improvements was a strong, unparalleled focus on the customer. Jeff had a revolutionary belief. He believed that if Amazon could make life easier for customers with lower prices, faster shipping, more products, then success had to follow. And it did. By 2004, Jeff was generating $6 billion in annual revenue for Amazon. Now, things were going great. Jeff could have been complacent, but in 2005, Jeff took a massive risk. Jeff wanted to deepen that customer focus and institute a new program called Amazon Prime. Prime offered free 2-day shipping for members, and members would simply pay an annual fee. This kind of service was unheard of at the time, and it required massive amounts of money in order to get it off the ground. But Jeff envisioned the long-term customer loyalty that this move would bring. And it worked. 19 years later, Amazon Prime has become such an integral part of Amazon, and it's helped the company get to a point where it now generates $600 billion in revenue every single year. But it doesn't even stop there. Think about the last time you bought something from Amazon. How easy was it? One click and it's yours. Every tiny improvement, every seamless detail has been carefully and meticulously crafted to provide you, the customer, with a better experience and to keep you coming back. Jeff understands that small improvements in making the customer experience more seamless compound, and they culminate in true brand loyalty. So how can we take a page out of Jeff's book and apply the principle of customer obsession in our own businesses? Well, once again, there are 3 steps. Step number 1 is to define your customers' pain points. Identify the main challenges, frustrations, or desires of your target customers. Do this by talking to customers directly, sending out surveys, or even just observe competitors. This will all give you an idea of what to do in step 2, which is to invest in the long term, even if it costs more now. Don't be afraid to invest time or capital into improvements that may not pay off right away, but will build long-term brand loyalty, like Jeff did with Prime. So identify that one change you can make that will make the customer experience much better. And finally, step 3 is to make customer convenience your number 1 priority. Map out your customer's journey. What does their journey look like from just hearing about your brand all the way until they actually buy your product? Once you have the customer journey mapped out, try and identify any friction points. For instance, maybe the checkout process takes too long. Maybe your customer service team takes too long to respond to their emails. Even think about your returns. When customers are dissatisfied with a product, how easy is it to give it back? All these different things are gonna make life much easier for your customers and are gonna result in brand loyalty. Now let's move into the final lesson for today. Warren Buffett's story is all about knowing your strengths and playing to them. His investment philosophy can be boiled down into one phrase: operate within your circle of competence. In other words, focus and gravitate towards what you know and try and steer clear of risks outside of your area of expertise. This is a lesson that Warren has lived by his whole career. In fact, I want to take you back to 1988 so we can see this philosophy up close and personal. At the time, Coca-Cola was down. Its stock had slumped, and many investors were writing it off as a failed beverage brand, past its glory days. But while many saw a company in decline, Warren saw opportunity. To him, Coca-Cola was a globally recognized brand with a predictable business model, and most importantly, he understood the business inside and out. He even joked at one point that he's 1/4 Coca-Cola. So in the midst of all of this hysteria about Coca-Cola, Warren knew exactly what he had to do. He put down $1.3 billion, which at the time was a massive bet for his company, Berkshire Hathaway. One thing we have to note is that he initially received criticism. A lot of people didn't really understand his decision. You see, most investors were simply chasing the next big trend. But Warren was doing the opposite. He was doubling down on a company well within his circle of competence, and the results were monumental. Coca-Cola became one of Berkshire Hathaway's most profitable investments, and it delivered massive returns over the years. So after watching hours of Warren Buffett speaking about his different strategies and his successes, it all boils down to one thing. He doesn't try to be an expert in every single industry. Instead, he selects a few businesses that fit within his circle of competence. He famously says that if an investment or a business opportunity is too complex, he throws it to the side and puts it on his too hard pile. So always remember, Find and stick to your edge. But how do you actually implement this philosophy in practice? Well, there are 3 things that you have to do. Step number 1 is to identify your strengths. Make a list of your skills, your hobbies, past experiences, past jobs, absolutely everything. And after that, if you're starting a business, try and start one that aligns with your past experiences. Or if you're investing, try and invest in industries in which you already have experience. If you work in real estate, try and invest in property funds before exploring complicated industries like biotech. Okay, so we've identified our strengths. Step number 2 is to know your limits. You want to write down the industries you're not confident in. And you have to be brutally honest here. If you don't understand how a business operates or how it makes money, write it down. You shouldn't start a business with an industry that's on this list. And once you complete step 2, the final thing you want to do is step 3. Expand your knowledge gradually. Obviously, over the course of your life, your circle of competence should hopefully expand as you learn and you grow. But how do you actually do that? Try and dedicate a specific time each week to learn something that expands your circle. Read industry reports, books, or even take online courses that expands your skill set. If you're an investor and you want to invest in something outside of your circle of competence, start small. Buy 1 stock in that new industry and track that stock as closely as possible. Observe how the industry behaves, and then gradually increase your exposure to that industry over time. So there you go. After studying 100 billionaires, these are 3 of the best business lessons that I found. I hope you now have a better idea how to dream like Elon, obsess over customers like Jeff, and play to your strengths like Warren. But there are plenty more insights that I want to share. If you want me to touch on them in the next video, please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.